5 years. 5 long years. Just to come back and get slaughtered by Onesie Banette.
Let's go!
Magma, the fear running down your face like magma. When I moonblast annihilate in anchor. Missing hurricanes, wish away you wanker. Cause I'm coming for the crown like boom. The overlord's on the throne, massive damage with the boom. How you gonna respond when Ivy Cudgel goes boom? And I keep following on, styling on you with the boom. If that isn't enough, my Rilla goes boom. Cause I'm the king, yeah. Pride comes with the terrain, but my boot over you, ruling over Parasect Germain. I'll make you quiver, you'll look at me like my name was Masquerain. Hey! Call this a challenge? Bitch, I've got this in the bag. Trapping you in last place like we're playing shadow tag. High roaring at you, whoops, sorry, have your terror captain back. Hey! Hey! 5 years since you played, gotta shake the rust off. I'm unburdened by the game, speeding into playoffs. Fueled by the heart flame, it's time I turn your lights off. You're gonna need energy, so Rate is the drink for you. Use code Onesie for a discount too. Cause trust me, Shroom, when I'm finished with you, even if I miss Gen, you won't be getting through. This time I'm in charge, I'm raising the bar. You might have Sandrush, but no Tyranitar. Go wish on your star, it won't get you very far. When I turn up the heat and leave you with scars, I'm going into overdrive. I've got the counters to survive. I'll cleave into your little life and bruise your little lion pride. Erupting into steam and strife across this beat, I grassy glide. I hope that you don't run and hide, cause Solihull have won this fight! Your turn, Mr. Shroomraver. Show me what you've got.
Oh, you're bragging about drafting Masquerain like you want people to find out. It's gonna take more than your 4th team name change to beat me, dude. But hey, you wanted this. Let's go. Stop me if you've heard this one before. It's a story of 2 PPL veterans coming back seeking glory. Rivals from the beginning, but you got fuck all to show. Bitch, I already won the league 7 seasons ago. Man, I got nothing to prove against your team of pretenders. Your draft is more whacked out than the Eternal City Enders. And just like your team, your whole rap's a mess. I need to hear your voice a little, Solihull Skarmoors. I'll get you up to speed like your Tailwind couldn't do. There's no one in the league I fear less than you. You think your Rillaboom can save you in the grassy terrain? Well, let me send Tornadus down and serve you up some pain. I don't see Ogerpon's face. Now I'm not a believer in Onesie Banette, the consummate underachiever whose seasons constantly balance upon the edge of a knife. You need to go back to school, maybe focus on academy life. How you expect to win is beyond me when you're still learning the basics from an NPC. With all the power on your team, it doesn't matter what you bring. You can employ whatever gambits you like, but I'll always be the king. Bring it on, Alex. Week 2 awaits. Hello everyone, Shroomraver here, and today I have my week 2 match for the PPL Bolt Division. Yes indeed. Now, last week we didn't get off to a great start, 3-0 loss to Frosted. Unfortunate, but we move. Now, today is a big one, because today my opponent is none other than Alex, Onesie Banette, and his Solihull Skarmoors. Now, Alex and I... It's an interesting story between the two of us. You'll have seen the rap battle we had earlier. That's something that we often do just for shits and giggles. Alex, it's an interesting one. Over my time playing Draft League, I've had many great rivals. You know, people like Raikwin, people like Jasmine. But Alex is, I would consider, probably my greatest rival. He's one of my closest friends in real life. But we've had similar journeys through our careers in Draft League. We fought each other in, I think, every single season of the PPL. And they've always been great matches. They've always been quite close matches. So I always look forward to our games. What I don't look forward to is his team, because he can choose from Sneasler, Ogerpon Half-Flame, Rillaboom, Mandibuzz, Pheasantipity, King Gambit, Regieleki, Volcanion, Masquerain, Noctowl, Gabite, and Gotharita, the middle one of those. So it's an interesting draft. He's got some really good low tier stuff that he can get the most out of. And, you know, his offensive core is disgusting. His defense is incredibly potent in warding stuff out. So it's time to get creative and see what we can do to try and beat him. So my team going into this match. First up, we have Kleavor here. I've gone with a choice Scarfed Kleavor, Adamant Nature, 172 in speed, 18 to HP, everything else into attack. This is going to be outpacing everything with his team that isn't Scarfed. We're sitting here with Stone Axe, Close Combat, U-Turn and Aerial Ace. Lots of sharpness boosts there. I can get initiative going in on things, try and get those hazards up as soon as possible. Try and force a defog from the Mandibuzz if he brings it. Honestly, I'm not really predicting him to bring anything in the way of hazard removal. I think Masquerain gets defog, but it's a real risk for him to bring Masquerain with Intimidate and Webs and defog, all things that can set off my Annihilate if I so choose. So hazards are going to be very useful for me in this one. Next up we have Tornadus. The redemption arc begins with Tornadus. I am bringing a fully specially offensive set here in terms of those EVs. I really need it for the Ogerpon. It outspeeds it naturally, and of course Ogerpon can't run an item. We're actually running Sub Nasty Plot here with Air Slash and Heat Wave, which will really hit his team very hard indeed, and there's a fair few things that I should be able to set up a sub on. Third up, we have Cyclozar. I'm bringing Assault Vest Cyclozar, full offensive utility going on there, with Ice Spinner, Knockoff, U-Turn and Rapid Spin. Excuse me, I'm still quite ill. I'm expecting a couple of things at least to be having boots, so Knockoff's good for that. It's naturally one of the quickest things on the field outside of his Regieleki, so I can U-turn around on that. Rapid Spin in case he wants to bring some hazards of his own. Ice Spinner there is quite useful. He does have that Rillaboom with the Grassy Terrain core going on, which I'm not a big fan of. I don't really want that to be a thing. I neither want to fuck around, nor do I want to find out. So that's what Cyclozar is here for. Max speed, max HP on that one. Then we have Toxtricity. I am bringing another Shift Gear Throat Spray Toxtricity. 168 speed, Timid Nature. That'll outspeed, again, I think it outspeeds everything that's Scarfed. Once I get 2+2 from the Shift Gear. Overdrive, Slide 1, Boom Burst, very standard Toxtricity set going on there. Excuse me. Now, Ogerpon is a huge problem for my team. Ogerpon Half Flame can really hit me very hard, so I've gone with a defensive Pyroar here to try and take that on. We've got 88 speed with a positive nature. That's going to allow me, I think, to outpace the Rillaboom. Because I don't really fear what Pheasantipity can do to me, and I am anticipating the Pheasantipity. We've got Willow, Fire Blast, Sub Hyper Voice. This is also hopefully going to let me try and play around that King Gambit with its Sucker Punching shenanigans. Final member of the team is going to be my Jirachi. We have a quite bulky offensive set here. Timid with 136 speed, which again I think is going to allow me to outpace. I think it is indeed. I think that one might be for the Pheasantipity that I can outpace. Psyshock, Aura Sphere, Wish, and Thunderbolt going on there with a Culver Berry, just in case I need it for that King Gambit. As you can see there on my moves going on there. So that is the team. In terms of what I'm anticipating, I could very well see him bringing the Grassy Terrain with the Rillaboom. Honestly, those first three, Sneasler, Ogerpon and Rillaboom, I can see coming. I think he's going to make the choice between Mandibuzz and Pheasantipity for my Annihilate, and I think he's going to go with the Pheasantipity. The King Gambit is an absolute shoo-in, and I really see Regieleki coming. My Sandslash has no right coming to this matchup. This is why I have the Cyclozar instead. Cyclozar is going to be my dedicated answer to the Regieleki because of Assault Vest and Regenerator. It's going to act as like a pseudo immunity because I can come in, take a hit very well, and then U-turn out and get my health back as if I've taken no damage. So that's kind of what I'm expecting. Obviously, Annihilate's Rage Fist is an issue without his normal type Knockdown coming or his Dark type Mandibuzz, but realistically, Pheasantipity should be able to take it on if it's physically defensive. Like I say, I'm not anticipating the Masquerain. The Volcanion is an option. Realistically, I don't necessarily see it coming here, just because of its speed being an issue, and I would anticipate that he would see me bringing at least one Scarfer. Probably the Kleavor, I could see him predicting that. I've noticed that my chair is sinking. That's a bit of a problem. Sorry to sit up a bit. But yes, that is going to be it for the team builder. So without further ado, let's get right into the battle. See how things played out. So, getting into the battle, as you can see, Alex decided to bring the Ogerpon, the Regieleki, Sneasler, Gabite, Pheasantipity, and King Gambit. So, no Rillaboom to deal with, but he does bring the Gabite, which is a good bring, given that it pretty much walls out my my Toxtricity, especially if it's a specially defensive set. So I was a bit nervy about that one. I was figuring that Morgan was still probably one of my best leads. Ogerpon is generally quite a decent lead for him, but also I have, of course, my fast thing, which is my my Cyclozar. Now, if he does decide to lead with anything other really than the Sneasler, Cyclozar is a good lead. The fact that he's brought Sneasler without the Rillaboom means it's probably not an Unburdened set, which to me means it's probably a Scarfed set. Other than that, Regieleki is good for moving around quickly. The Pheasantipity will probably be physically defensive, as I expected, and the Ogerpon is scary, to be honest. I figured it would probably be a Spadef Rocks Gabite set, and as you can see, I decided to lead with my my Cyclozar, just to be as safe as possible. So there's the team I'm going with. Let's see how Alex decides to respond. So, getting into the battle, we both have sleeping Pokemon as our backgrounds. There is Alex, and he is going to lead with Vivi. That is indeed going to be his Sneasler, which is not great for me. This is pretty much confirming in my mind, this is almost certainly a Scarfed set. So I don't want to stay in and take a close combat. He's pretty free to go for it. I have a couple of things that will take it if they switch in, but early game he's going to have switches to both my Tornadus and my Toxtricity. It takes me a little while to decide on this one. Realistically, if he's going for close combat, then Toxtricity is one of my better bets, but equally Redemption can come in and take that well enough as well. So early game, I'm going to go into my Tornadus, looking to start its Redemption arc as early as possible. He is just going to go for the U-turn. That makes a fair amount of sense. It doesn't do an awful amount, and looking at the calcs, that is very much looking to be a Scarfed set, as anticipated from the team lineup. So that's all very well and good. It looks to be a Scarfed Sneasler. I'm going to have to try and deal with that as and when I can. So he is going to respond by sending in his Regieleki. Very fair shout on his part. I get some leftovers back, which is nice. Now I know exactly what my go-to answer for Regieleki is, and it's certainly not my Tornadus. It's always going to be Cyclozar to come in here. I have no reason not to do this. I'm anticipating he's just going to be early game, Volt switching and U-turning around, trying to sort of size up my team and see what my responses are to some of his immediate threats. Now, he took a fair while to think about this. I'm going to be doing some cutting around to try and shorten the length of these videos. I hope you don't mind. It's something new that I'm trying. I haven't really got to grips with recording direct off the Switch. But he's going to hard switch out and go into Miles. That is going to be his Gabite, which is an interesting option. I guess he thought I might go into my Toxtricity to take a Volt Switch well, but as you can see, he's going to go into his Gabite as I go back into my Cyclozar, so we've got a Dragon-on-Dragon matchup. I'm pretty much guaranteed to be outpacing this thing. I don't see it being Scarfed. Like I say, the fact that I think he's predicted my switch into my Toxtricity would imply to me even more that this is a specially defensive build of Gabite, probably with the rocks. Now here I was weighing up whether I just go hard for the Ice Spinner. It's really not going to do all that much, especially if this is a bulky set. So I'm considering also the knockoff to get rid of a potential Violite, but it is a difficult one. I'm really not sure what to do here. I don't want my Cyclozar to go down too quickly, but as I go for the knockoff, he's going to predict a switch possibly on my half as well, or indeed the knockoff and go into Tommy Cooper. As I go for the knockoff on his Pheasantipity, not do too much, and get rid of the leftovers. So either predicting a knockoff to resist a switch, or indeed my Dragon Stab. But I don't want to be staying in on Pheasantipity, that is for darn sure, and It's difficult to think of what to go into here. I was considering, as you can see, the Jirachi, but I don't want to go into that too early. Same thing with my Pyroar. Now I think I was weighing up whether I just go hard into Tornadus to see if I can take a hit, or whether I just try and tank a hit with my Scarfer and then go from there. So, with only about 15 seconds left on my timer, I actually end up going into my Toxtricity because it's going to be the one to take a play rough better than anything, and he can't Toxic me with a Toxic Chain. Indeed, he's just going to go for the U-turn, so he's brought a lot of initiative on his team, really looking to try and feel out my answers to his threats and what I'm going to go into on his walls as early as possible. And he can be a little bit freer with the Pheasantipity, given that I haven't brought my Annihilate to this game, which means he's more likely to switch it in on a secondary threat on my half. As it is, with my Toxtricity in, he is going to go hard back into his Gabite, and I have no business staying in on this guy whatsoever. Even if he is a defensive set, the chances are he's going to have Earthquake, and I figure here he's either going to be going for the Earthquake or the Rocks. Now either way, my best answer there is going to be Redemption. As you can see, that is what I click. I get in before Rocks or I get in on an Earthquake, so that is my decision. And this game is going quite the same as the early game against Frosted. A lot of U-turning and switching just to try and feel each other out early game. You know, I haven't played this in a very long time, and Alex, he's played sporadically in the interim, more likely recently. But I'm going to switch hard out, as I say, into my Tornadus to see if it can do any work against this guy. And as it is, he's going to go straight for the Dragon Claw and do more damage than I was hoping for. This is a little bit unfortunate for me, because now Tornadus has taken more damage than I wanted it to. But I am kind of predicting a switch on his half here. Pretty sure that he doesn't want to stay in like last time. He's been switching out Gabite a fair amount, and it's looking like he really wants to keep it as healthy as possible. So I'm considering my play of going for Substitute here. It'll either scout him out, or he's going to switch and I get a free sub. I'm also considering going hard into Scarfed Cleavor, but I think I don't want to do that just yet. And I certainly don't want to be going into Jirachi on a potential Earthquake if he wants to predict my switch. So, weighing up my moves here with about 20 seconds left on the timer, I actually end up just going straight for Air Slash, just to try and get damage on this thing, as he ends up switching and going into his Pheasantipity. As you can see, Air Slash is going to do not very much. Potentially this is a mixed defensive set of some kind in my head, but Pheasantipity has very good natural special bulk, so I'm still thinking it's more physically defensive than anything else. Now what I've seen on it so far is U-turn, and I'm wondering if he wants to do the same thing again, just like predict my switch out to save my Tornadus, because it's a low enough health that it's a problem, and maybe just go for a U-turn to get even more initiative into a powerful threat. I kind of want to negate that, so I'm just going to go for a sub straight off the bat. It's going to take me down quite far, as you can see. Pheasantipity here, going to go for a Roost, so I am safe behind a sub, which is nice, but he is now back to full health, which is a bit of a problem. However, with the leftovers I'm recovering, I am in range where I can go for another sub again, if I need to, so that's nice. Now all day, every day here, I'm pretty sure my play is to go for a nasty plot, and kind of scout this thing out, because it's looking like a very defensive, bulky set. It's possible he doesn't really have much to hit me. So I go for a nasty plot, get my special attack nice and high. As you can see, he is packing the play rough, and as you can see, he's actually going to miss. Now that is very unfortunate for him. He's basically out of control of him, given me a free +2 behind a sub, and now something's going to take a sizable hit. And now we're going to see exactly how much damage Air Slash can do to this Pheasantipity. As you can see, going to go for it, and do just above 50%. That's very good damage to something with such monstrous special defense. He is going to go for play rough. That is going to break my sub, so very unfortunate on his side that he was unable to do that before. It would have put him in a much better position if he'd hit that play rough. Now, my play here is probably to go for another Air Slash. There is a chance to flinch, there is a chance to high roll, there is basically a chance to take care of this Pheasantipity once and for all. So I'm pretty sure that is the play I'm going to make. I was weighing up going for another sub, predicting him maybe to Roost or switch out again, but overall Air Slash is my play. I am going to go for that Air Slash, and he is actually going to end up going for the Tailwind in a nice homage back to Seasons 1 and 2. Seasons 1 and 3, where he did misgens and misplays around using Tailwind against me both times, and here he's going to try and go for it again. But, unfortunately for him, I am packing Prankster on this guy, so I can try and stall out his Tailwind by going for Substitute, which I'm about to do. So, he's actually going to end up withdrawing, looking for another chance to roost later on, and sends in ready, that is going to be his Regieleki, as I set up another Substitute. Now with Tailwind up, he is going to be outspeeding me so very much. But this is my chance to go for Heat Wave and see exactly how much damage I can do to him, as he's going to have to try and break my sub, presumably with a Thunderbolt or a Volt Switch. And that's what's going to happen. He is going to go for the Thunderbolt, that's going to break my sub every single day of the week. As Redemption comes back from out behind its Substitute and is going to go for that big old Heat Wave. And it is going to do considerable damage to this Regieleki. He is now down into the red. Redemption has put 2 of Alex's Pokemon down into the red, which is very fortunate. And now my play essentially is to try and stall out more turns of this Tailwind if I can. So realistically, sub is once again my play. I do consider just going hard into my Cyclizar here, because that is my dedicated answer. And as you can see, that is actually what I'm going to do. I choose to not try and stall out the Tailwind anymore. Just go into my Cyclizar as my dedicated answer to this guy in case he Volt Switches out. In the end, he chooses to go for Light Screen. I wasn't anticipating a Dual Screens Light playset, but it is something that this thing gets. So I could have gone for a sub, but I didn't really want to. I wasn't predicting it, there was no reason for me to. So, I have Cornwall in here now. Chances are he's just going to go for his other screen and let his Regieleki go down. It doesn't serve too much more of a purpose to him, especially since he's seen that I have this guy as a dedicated answer. So my play pretty much is to go for a U-turn. Even if he gets to Reflect up, I will kill through it. It's at low enough health and has garbage physical defense. That is exactly what's going to happen. He is going to go for the Reflect, make himself stronger against physical moves. I'm going to go for the U-turn and take him out through the Reflect. So a first kill notched up on debut for Cyclizar, which is very nice, and arguably, outside of Scarfers, the fastest thing on the field is now gone. So what is my play from here? Well, there is always Redemption to come in, because I can basically stall out a free turn of the screens by using Substitute. Or I can go into my Scarfer Cleavel. It's going to be one of those two either way, and as you can see, I opt to go into my Tornadus. Because for me, stalling out these screens is going to be very useful. I don't want him doing nasty setup things if that Sneasler is in fact not a Scarfed set. So trying to get a sub up here is going to be probably the most useful thing I can do. And as you can see, Alex is going to go back into his Gabite, which is an interesting option on his part. And the fact that he's gone into it behind screens kind of has me thinking maybe he's not a bulky set at all. Maybe he is the exact set that I told him in order to get him to draft this thing in the first place, which is Scale Shot Sword Stance. He didn't think it got Scale Shot and he wasn't going to draft it. When I told him he did, he immediately took it. So it would be kind of justice on his behalf, I think, to be running the exact set I persuaded him to draft this thing on behalf of. But we're both thinking about this quite hard. I'm thinking, do I want to go for a sub? But if he is Scale Shot, that's not going to get me very far because he's going to break the sub probably with one and then take me out, which is not great for me. So I'm thinking maybe I just go for Air Slash flinches. It does about 20%, and I do get the flinch, which is nice. I'm sort of trying to judge exactly what this thing's EV spread is going to end up being. At the same time, I'm getting some leftovers back. Cutting the battle is also helping me with my cough. I'm still quite ill, so in the off times while moves are being selected, I'm usually just, coughing and having a bit of a sniffle. I do still have a bit of a cold, which is unfortunate. As you can see, I don't really have a dedicated answer to this thing if it is indeed the set that I'm worried it is, which is Scale Shot Sword Stance. So I'm really taking my time over these moves, and in the end, I'm pretty sure I just decide go for the Air Slash once more, see if we can't get even more hacks out of this game. It's kind of what I have to play for. No one likes to see it, but when you have the opportunity, sometimes you have to do it. With those screens up, Air Slash is not doing much. And as you can see, I go for the Air Slash, take it to just above half. I get a second flinch, which is super nice for me. It's really helping stall out these screens turns. And of course, now that the Regieleki is gone, he can't put them up again. Now is the time where I'm considering going into my Jirachi. You know, if he's going for Scale Shot, it's not going to do very much. And given that he's a Gabite, Scale Shot into Earthquake probably won't kill Jirachi. I'm just sitting here wondering what I need to keep around for that potential endgame King Gambit, and Jirachi is arguably that mon. In the end, I do decide to stay in and go for Air Slash once more. We take him down to just around a quarter, and he does end up going for the Scale Shot, so he is that set. And Scale Shot is eventually going to take out my Tornadus. So Tornadus goes down without getting a kill, but it's already done more than it ever did for me in Season 3. It's on its redemption arc, it's taken 3 of Alex's team down below 20%, which is really, really good effort on its part. That's kind of what I wanted it to do, break early and lead the way for something like this Kleavor, or indeed my Toxtricity. And Kleavor is what I'm going to end up going into. I go into the Lad, and I decide in the end, I think, here to go for the close combat. I would have loved to go for Stone Axe, but behind a screen, this thing being a ground type, it's going to live that hit, and it's going to hurt me. And also, I'm EV'd to outspeed certain things. A +1 Gabite is not that, so it's going to outspeed me. I just have to bank on the fact that it's not powerful enough without an SD boost to kill me outright. Now, as you can see here, Alex is going to Terra up. Looking to get as much of a boost as he can on any of his moves, he is going to go for the Terra Grounds. Now, he was actually just sacking this thing off here, thinking that my Kleavor would outspeed because of the Scarf. In the end, he goes for the Scale Shot, looking to get to +2 in the speed. As you can see, it's going to do a goodly amount of damage, hitting 3 times, but it's not going to be enough, and of course with his defense drops coming in, this is going to be an easy KO for Kleavor to pick up with the close combat. So down goes a big threat. It turns out that he was Swords Dance. He just wasn't necessarily expecting to outspeed, given that I was probably a Scarf Kleavor set. So, down goes his Terra Captain Gabite. A weirdly big threat has been removed from the field. So, Alex is going to opt to go into his Ogerpon. Ogerpon makes its first appearance on the field, and I have an answer to this. You know, I have my my Pyroar. It is my dedicated go-to option for going against Ogerpon. And so that is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just going to hard switch into it. No matter what he does, he can't really do too much damage to me. You know, even if he's going for knockoff, I don't think he has room to run a Swords Dance set. He certainly doesn't have room to run Trailblaze in my mind. So, I'm going to do what I said I was going to do every time against Ogerpon, and that is go into my Pyroar. It is very bulky, and it'll be able to take any good couple of hits from this guy, and go from there. So he's going to go for the Ivy Cudgel here. As you can see, that is going to do exactly 100 damage, and I'm thinking, this is great. I can sit in here and kind of do whatever I want. We're getting towards the end of his screens, which is very nice, so my Fire Blast isn't going to do a massive amount, but it's still going to get some nice chip damage for later on, just to guarantee, if this is a bulky set, that Kleavor can come in and do the work afterwards. Now he is going to outspeed, and this is where he's going to reveal he has Low Kick, and this is revealing to me that Ogerpon learns Low Kick. I didn't realise this at the time. That's a problem. It means that Pyroar is not as much of an answer to this thing as I had at first thoughts. Now the good news is, a turn later than I would have liked, the light screen does eventually wear off. That means Reflect is going next time too. But now one of my sub-users is gone and another of my sub-users is very low, so this King Gambit is starting to look like it might be a bit of an issue. I also can't go into Cornwall as an option. Regieleki is gone, but this thing has Low Kick and that's going to hurt like a bitch, let me tell you. But I'm considering, I think, going into Cornwall here because, as I say, now that Regieleki is gone and his special offense options aren't great at the moment, I can just go into it. I will take one Low Kick and I can try and go from there. So as you can see, that is what I'm going to do. I switch out go into my Cornwall, my Cyclozar here, as he actually ends up going for the Ivy Cudgel instead. This is good. It's going to do a lot less than Low Kick would have done. Reflect is now gone, and I can sort of move from here. U-turn is going to be my move of choice. I know I'll outspeed him because I naturally do, and he can't run an item. So he's revealed Ivy Cudgel, he's revealed Low Kick. I'm pretty sure that he's not going to have both set up. He's probably not going to have Trailblaze and Swords Dance. But he still might. It's difficult to say, really. Sometimes Ogerpon, you don't know what it's doing till it's too late. He's actually going to withdraw here, wanting to maintain as much HP on that thing as possible. And he has a very good switch into this in the form of Pheasantipity, or at least he would if it wasn't quite so low on health because I hacked it out earlier. Cyclozar is going to net a KO here. It's second of the game. Very nice indeed with the U-turn. Get on out of there, and now I have to choose what to go into. So what I opt to do is go into my Pyroar. Just to see what he's going to go into. In my mind, it's become one of the less useful members of my team, since I know that it doesn't outspeed the Ogerpon, and the Ogerpon has Low Kick. Now this was a mistake on my part. What I should have done was go directly into my Scarfer, which is Cleavor. But I worried that that would tempt in his own potential Scarfer in the form of Sneasler. I didn't want Cleavor to take a massive hit from that guy, potentially get knocked out by him. So, Alex is going to go directly back into his Ogerpon. It's unfortunate for me because this Pyroar is no longer an answer to it. It would take an Ivy Cudgel from here, but it's not going to take a Low Kick. I end up staying in here. Unfortunately, there's nothing I really want to switch into this Ogerpon. So I end up going Terra Normal, which was a weird decision for me to make because it means that everything this thing does, even the Ivy Cudgel, will hit me neutrally and kill me. I guess I was expecting him, or hoping that he would Swords Dance. He doesn't, he just goes for the Low Kick. That is going to take out my Pyroar, which has not done as much work against this thing as I'd have liked it to have done. The screens and the unexpected Low Kick really side-blinded me. It's not a word. Blindsided me. But either way, I don't really have an option here. I have to go into my my Cleavor. It's the only thing that's reliably going to be able to do anything against this Ogerpon, insofar as it will take it out. So, I do indeed swap into Morgan. Now, there was confusion about Scarves here. I thought that he would assume I was Scarfed. He didn't think I was Scarfed because of how his Gabite outsped me. So, in my mind, he's going to switch out because he thinks I'm Scarfed. In his mind, he outspeeds me because his Gabite outsped. He still doesn't know that I'm Scarfed. There was a bit of confusion there. Either way, it's going to, unfortunately, go badly for me. My play here all day, every day is to just go for Stone Axe and just take this thing out, leaving him with his... what does he have left? His King Gambit and something else, his Sneasler. I should have gone for the Stone Axe. It would have been a much better play. In the end, I end up massively over-predicting and going for the U-turn, which as you can see, he stays in, and U-turn doesn't net the KO. This is a problem. This is a huge problem because now I have to go into something to try and take a hit from this guy. And that something is of course going to be my Cyclozar. And he's going to go for the Ivy Cudgel here and do a goodly amount of damage, like more than I'm comfortable with. Now at this stage, whether U-turn will kill this thing from an uninvested Cyclozar is up in the air. Knockoff's not going to be doing enough at all. There is always the option to go for Ice Spinner. That's actually going to be my most damaging move against this guy, and hopefully try and take it out. But there's always the option that he switches and goes hard into, say, the King Gambit. Having seen that I have knockoff and U-turn, he can probably guess much of the rest of my set. So I'm a bit confused here about what to do, and it takes me a little while to think of the move of choice. As you can see, in the end I choose to go for Ice Spinner, but this is the point where he is going to withdraw and go into Anna Taylor-Joy. That is going to be the King Gambit. This is where things get very scary. He has 3 Overlord boosts, and obviously Ice Spinner is going to do nothing. Now in my mind, I know I'm going to outspeed him, and I'm thinking, do I U-turn out of there and risk going into the Jirachi now? to try and take a hit? Or, seeing that I haven't seen leftovers, do I go for the knockoff to get rid of what I'm now assuming is going to be a Choppleberry? That's going to be absolutely necessary if Jirachi is going to take it out with Aura Sphere and live the Sucker Punch. Now I'm calculating whether I can live the Sucker Punch, and I don't think I can, but I also am unsure if he's going to go for it, and my play every day is to go for the knockoff. That's what I do. I go for the knockoff, and I do indeed get rid of that Choppleberry, which is great, until he goes for Swords Dance. That is a problem. That is a monumental level of problem. Because now, it's a roll as to whether I live with the Colberberry on Jirachi. So, I U-turn out of there, and I decide to go into Toxtricity. Reason here is that he's got two things that outspeed and pretty much guarantee KOing Toxtricity. I was still thinking at this point that it's the chance that he might not be Scarfed Sneasler at all, and he might be teching me with Power Herb Dig specifically for this guy. So in my mind, this is the only chance for me to do any damage with it, and he ends up going for Stealth Rock. This is not great. Late game rocks, good for him at this point. Now, I've seen rocks, I've seen Swords Dance. He's bound to have Sucker Punch, and he's probably got the Iron Head. Now, at +2 with his boost, Iron Head will kill me. But I'm pretty sure that's what he's going for, not Sucker Punch, because he can't let me get up a Shift Gear. So in my mind, the best play here is to just go for Overdrive, try and do as much damage as I can to this thing, and then we have to play around with Sucker Punch on Jirachi, and that's never a game you want to play. So, I go for Overdrive, and this is where I learn that the Throat Spray kicks in after you use a move. Bit unfortunate. But I do a good amount of damage at the very least, and he is indeed going to go for the Iron Head resisted hit. That is still going to take out Toxtricity because King Gambit is dumb. So now I have to weigh my options. Jirachi is basically the only option, because Morgan will go down to a Sucker Punch. He knows I'm Scarfed now. My only chance really is to hope that I can live a Sucker Punch or play around it with Rachi. After taking Stealth Rocks, it's like a 75% roll in Alex's favour to kill me with Sucker Punch, and it's pretty much a guarantee that that is his last move. But this endgame can still go either way. There is a way for either of us to still win this. But I can't go into anything else other than Jirachi. It has to be Jirachi. It's the only way. So I take some rocks damage, and like I say, it's about a 75% roll in his favour to kill with Sucker Punch. Now, my play here is to go for Wish, and immediately go into Cleavor. That is the play. And then, it's probably to go into my Cyclozar and hope he goes for Iron Head to sack that off, and then play around with Wishes against his Sucker Punch. Because I'm going to need Cleavor at a higher health in case that Sneasler is Scarfed if I want to end game into Aerial Ace to take them both out. So, my play either way always is to go for Wish, because he's going for Sucker Punch here, he's absolutely doing it. As you can see, he's still thinking about it, but he goes for the Sucker Punch, it fails, and I go for the Wish. Now as I say, my play here every day is to pass that Wish into Cleavor, but I start second guessing myself. Because it's difficult when you're playing Sucker Punch mind games. They always say click Sucker Punch 8 times. I would never click Sucker Punch 8 times. I think you want to give it a little bit of time, but I was wondering if he was going to predict my switch into my Cleavor and go for the Iron Head. If he does that and I click Aura Sphere, I can win this game. So that's what I'm kind of thinking about. Do I go for the Wish? Sorry, do I go for the switch and pass the Wish on his Sucker Punch, or do I go for the Aura Sphere on the Iron Head prediction, or do I risk the roll with Aura Sphere? Like I say, it's about a 75% roll in his favour through my Colberberry at the point he's at. And I agonised over this. The time is ticking down, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do. I click Aura Sphere, he clicks Sucker Punch. I eat the Colberberry, he goes for Sucker Punch, and he gets his favourable roll, and is able to take me. That is unfortunate, because very clearly that is going to be the game. Morgan's going to go down to a Sucker Punch, that he's got no chance of living it. And unfortunately the same is really going to be said for my boy Cornwall here, who can't damage this thing anyway. my best move to hit it is U-turn, and he's going to be like max HP, max attack. That's just a thing that's going to happen. So I go for the U-turn. He is going to end up going for the Iron Head here. I think he was still a bit worried about overheat, but he goes for the Iron Head anyway, presumably predicting this one switch into Morgan. It's unfortunate. If I'd have gone into Morgan and he had gone for Iron Head, then we would have been in a better position. But as it is, he does go for the Iron Head on my U-turn switch, and all I have left is my Cyclozar, and there is nothing I can do from this point. I get the regenerator back to full, but realistically, it's not going to make a difference. So yeah, in comes Cornwall, who has been good at like picking off threats here and there. It's been a useful regenerator user. It's made a good showing on its first outing for my team, netting 2 kills. But like I say, I had to hope for a big crit and him go for Iron Head, but he goes for Sucker Punch. That is going to take out my Cyclozar, and that unfortunately is going to be the game. So yeah, an unfortunate loss there to our boy Alex. We are still shaking the rust off. That much is very clear. Alex has a little bit more experience than me of late, but that is to take nothing away from his performance in this game. He built a very, very good team. He had all the things he needed, and he was able to play very well around using the mons that he had brought for other reasons. Like the Pheasantipity was his best answer to the Annihilate. I knew that going in, which is part of the reason that I was happy kind of not bringing it, but then he was able to use it effectively in other ways and keep it for fodder when he needed to. He obviously did get unlucky as well. Hacks allowed me a way back into this game, and it allowed me actually to get early footing with the air/flinches. That really quite crucial miss on Playroth allowed Tornadus to do a lot of work. So yeah, hacks kind of went in my favour there in a big way, but it was all for naught, unfortunately. And I'm not going to say that the roll on Sucker Punch was hacked. It was very much in his favour. As soon as you set up Sword Stance, I pretty much knew the game was up. I misplayed at the end. Whether it would have made a difference is questionable, but I certainly didn't play optimally to give myself the best chance. But, you know, we take another 3-0 loss, so we're 0-2 at -6. We are nothing if not consistent. Yeah, well played, Alex. Very good game on his part. Like I say, he is a very good friend of mine. His links will be down in the description, along with everyone else's in the league. But do please check out my boy Onesie Banette. Like I say, he's one of my best friends in real life. He's an excellent battler, and I rather think that you should go and watch his stuff. In fact, I insist on it. Do it. Do it right now. Do it. You won't, no balls. But yeah, good game from Alex. Well played indeed. We move. Next week, we are going to be taking on Kilauea, I think I'm saying that right, and the NJ Goldengos. I, unbeknown to me, have known Kilauea for a while. I knew him by a different name back in TBU days, but we'll talk more about that next week. But yes, that is going to be it from me. I'm going to get out of here. I've rambled on for far too long. So, my final thank you to you all for watching, and I guess with that, I will see you next time. Laters.